The Texas sun was setting over the quiet streets of Sugarland, casting long shadows across my modest two-story home. I'm Diane, a 55-year-old bakery owner who'd spent 3 decades building Diane's Sweet Haven, a chain of 3 shops that were the heartbeat of our suburban community. The scent of fresh bread and vanilla had always been my refuge, but tonight, as I sat at my kitchen table, the air felt heavy with something else: doubt. The old oak clock, a gift from my mother-in-law, ticked like a metronome of unease. Each second felt like a countdown to a truth I wasn't ready to face. My husband, Robert, had just stumbled in from another business dinner, his navy blazer slung over his shoulder, his tie loose like a noose he couldn't wait to shed. At 58, he still had that salesman's charm, broad shoulders, a crooked smile that used to make my heart skip. But tonight, his eyes were shadowed, his movements heavy with something more than exhaustion. "Long day, Di," he muttered, collapsing onto the couch without a glance my way. A faint whiff of his cedar cologne mixed with something sweet and floral, a scent that wasn't mine. It lingered like an uninvited guest, stirring a knot in my stomach. I tidied up, a habit from 30 years of marriage, gathering his wallet, keys, and phone from the coffee table. His phone screen glowed, an email notification catching my eye. Robert hated emails, always said, "Di, I'm a handshake guy, not a keyboard warrior." Yet there it was, a message from an address I didn't recognize. starlight992@gmail.com. The subject line was blank, but the preview read, "You were amazing tonight, Pops." Pops? My heart lurched. Robert was no one's Pops, but our son Ethan's. I glanced at the bedroom, where his snores had already started, a mocking rhythm against my racing pulse. With trembling fingers, I opened the email. 5 words. "You were amazing tonight, Pops." A red heart emoji stabbed at my chest. Who was calling him that? And why so intimate? I swiped for more, but the inbox was barren, surgically clean. My mind spun, piecing together fragments. Robert's late nights, his sudden meetings in Houston, 45 minutes away, when he'd always grumbled about the drive. I set the phone down, hands shaking, and continued cleaning, my movements robotic. In his blazer pocket, I found a crumpled receipt. The Capitol Grill, Houston, party of 2, $180, Cabernet Sauvignon, filet mignon, lobster pasta. Dated tonight. He'd told me he was in Austin, not Houston. The wine was the same one he'd bought me for our 20th anniversary. A memory now tainted. Who was he dining with? I snapped a photo of the receipt, my hands unsteady, and moved to the garage. Robert's pickup truck was still warm, the air thick with gasoline and that same floral scent. My flashlight swept the driver's seat. Nothing but loose change and a coffee cup. But in the glove compartment, my fingers brushed something plastic, a used condom, tucked in its wrapper, like a dirty secret. My breath caught. Robert and I hadn't been intimate in years. He'd blamed age, stress, his bad back. So what was this? My heart pounded, a mix of rage and dread. I photographed it, hands trembling, and tucked it back exactly as I'd found it. Under the passenger seat, I found napkins, crumpled and reeking of that floral perfume. Not my lavender, but something bold, like jasmine. I snapped more photos, each click a nail in the coffin of my trust. Back in the kitchen, I sat, staring at the evidence on my phone. The email, the receipt, the condom, the napkins. My intuition, honed by decades as a wife and mother, screamed betrayal. But with who? And why Pops? I checked his messages. Nothing but dry work texts. His email was too clean, like he'd scrubbed his tracks. The silence of the house pressed in, the clocks ticking now a taunt. I didn't sleep that night, my mind a storm of questions. Morning came, and I played the part of the dutiful wife. Robert shuffled in, hair mussed, grabbing coffee. Big meeting today, Di, he said, avoiding my eyes. Might be late again. His voice was casual, practiced. I nodded, forcing a smile. Be safe, I said. But inside, I was screaming, Who are you meeting? He patted my shoulder, a hollow gesture, and left. The door's slam echoed like a gunshot. I couldn't sit still. I needed answers. I called my old friend Linda, who'd once recommended a private investigator after her own divorce. Diane, you okay? She asked, sensing my tone. I need that investigator's number, I said, my voice low. Robert's hiding something. She didn't pry, just texted me, Mark Hayes, PI, discreet, 713-5555, 0192. I called Mark, my hands shaking. Mrs. Carter, I'll start today, he said, his voice calm but firm. Send me what you've got. I emailed the photos, receipt, condom, napkins, email, screenshot, and waited, my heart a drumbeat of dread. At noon, I met Mark at a diner in Sugarland, a quiet spot with vinyl booths and the smell of fried bacon. He was mid-40s, wiry, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. This is bad, Diane, he said, scrolling through my evidence. I'll tail him tonight. Stay calm. Don't tip him off. I nodded, my throat tight. I just need the truth, I whispered. He gave me a reassuring nod and left. I sat there, nursing a coffee, feeling like a stranger in my own life. 30 years of marriage, raising Ethan, building my bakery. Had it all been a lie? That night, I worked late at the bakery, kneading dough, the familiar rhythm failing to soothe me. My phone buzzed at 11 p.m. Mark. A photo loaded. Robert, in his grey blazer, entering a Houston steakhouse, hand in hand with a woman. I zoomed in and my world tilted. It was Emily, my 32-year-old daughter-in-law, Ethan's wife. Her black dress hugged her curves, her blonde hair loose, red lipstick bold. They looked like lovers, not in-laws. Another photo showed them at a candlelit table, her hand on his smile intimate, a look he hadn't given me in years. A video followed, Emily whispering in Robert's ear, him laughing, a sound so carefree it cut me. They left, his arm around her waist, heading to his truck. I sank onto a flour-dusted stool, my chest tight. Emily, who I'd welcomed like a daughter, who I'd taught my flan recipe, who hugged me at family barbecues. She and Robert always seemed distant at gatherings. Ethan even joked, Em can't stand Dad's bad puns. It was an act, a cruel performance. My son's wife and my husband. How long? Why? Mark's next message came at 2 a.m. They're at the Marriott Houston. Booked a room. More photos incoming. The images showed them on a hotel balcony. Robert's arm around Emily, her head on his shoulder. A quick kiss, brief but devastating. I replayed it, each frame a fresh wound. Robert's tender gaze, the way he brushed her hair, gestures he'd once reserved for me, now stolen. I saved everything to a flash drive, my hands moving on autopilot. The bakery's warmth felt suffocating, the scent of sugar now bitter. Morning brought more evidence. Mark's photos showed Robert and Emily leaving a lawyer's office in Houston, her in a sleek blazer, him carrying a folder labeled Carter Ventures. A video captured them in his truck, Emily marking papers with a red pen, Robert nodding. Mark's note, overheard them discussing a bakery transfer. They're planning to use a notary contact to forge your signature. My bakery, my life's work, started with a single oven and a dream, was their target. They weren't just cheating, they were stealing my legacy. I sat among trays of pastries, the smell of vanilla mocking me. Robert had never rolled dough or stayed up for late deliveries. He'd smiled at ribbon cuttings, taken credit for my success, but never lifted a sack of flour. Now he and Emily wanted it all. I remembered Ethan's wedding, Emily's shy smile, Robert's proud toast. Lies, all of it. My rage grew cold, calculated. I wouldn't let them win. At dinner, Robert was chatty, oblivious. Big deal coming, Di. Might need you to sign some papers for the bakery. Expansion stuff. His smile was too smooth. I heard Emily's voice in my head. Hurry up with the fake contract. I nodded, playing along. Sure, I'll look at them. He relaxed, sipping wine, unaware I was plotting. That night, he left his keys on the counter, snoring loudly. I grabbed them, heart pounding, and slipped into the garage. The truck smelled of jasmine and gasoline. In the glove compartment, the condom was gone, replaced by a fresh tube of lubricant, cap loose, used. My stomach churned, but I stayed focused. I took the tube to the kitchen, washed my hands raw, and grabbed industrial superglue from my toolbox, used for fixing bakery equipment. I emptied the lubricant, filled the tube with glue, shook it to mimic the texture, and tested a drop. Perfect. No one would notice. I placed it back, wiped my prints, and adjusted the seat. In the trunk, I found more napkins, reeking of jasmine, and a hotel key card. I photographed everything, my evidence growing. I set the next trap, a smoke alarm. In the kitchen, I rigged a skillet with oil, tying a string to the stove's igniter, running it to a window where I could pull it remotely. A test produced thick black smoke, enough to alarm neighbors without real damage. I hid a voice recorder behind a photo frame in our bedroom. Ethan's old wedding picture. Ironic now. The recorder would catch every word. Next morning, I told Robert, I'm heading to Dallas for a supplier meeting. Back late. His eyes lit up. Relief, not concern. Take your time, Di, he said, kissing my forehead. I smiled, but inside, I was steel. Instead of Dallas, I went to my neighbor Sarah's house across the street, a retired teacher who'd always been kind. Diane, you okay? She asked, seeing my purse. Just need to watch the house, I said. She nodded, offering coffee and a window seat with a clear view. At 10 a.m., Emily arrived in a cab, wearing sunglasses and a tight dress. Robert ushered her in, glancing around nervously. I activated the recorder app on my phone, headphones in. Their laughter echoed. Glasses clinked. Robert's voice. No hotel today, Em. Di's gone. Emily giggled. Finally, no sneaking. That old cow's out. Old cow. My blood boiled, but I waited. The bed creaked, sounds I couldn't bear. Then Emily's scream. We're stuck. What is this? Robert cursed. Hold still, damn it. The superglue had worked. I pulled the string via my phone app. The skillet ignited, smoke pouring out the kitchen window. Sarah gasped. Diane, your house. Neighbors gathered, shouting, Call the fire department. Mr. Lopez dialed 911. I feigned panic, my heart calm. The recorder caught Emily sobbing. Do something, Robert. He growled. I'm trying. Fire sirens wailed. Ethan, my son, leapt from the fire truck in his chief's uniform, face grim. Possible occupants, he shouted, leading his team. They smashed the door, hoses ready. I heard Ethan's voice crack through the recorder. Dad? Emily, what the hell? A firefighter muttered. Jesus. Another stifled a laugh. Ethan barked. Quiet! The smoke was doused, just a small oil fire. But the bedroom scene was chaos. Robert and Emily, stuck together, wrapped in sheets, were carried out on stretchers. Emily crying, Robert pleading, Don't let them see! Neighbors crowded, phones out, filming. That's Diane's husband with her daughter-in-law. Mrs. Garcia gasped. Poor Diane, Sarah recorded, whispering, You knew, didn't you? I nodded, silent. Ethan emerged, pale, eyes hollow. I wanted to hug him, but stayed put, letting the truth unfold. At the hospital, I played the grieving wife. A doctor approached. Mrs. Carter, they're separated, minor skin irritation. I nodded. swapping their ointment with mustard from my purse. A final sting. Minutes later, Emily's screams echoed. "It burns!" Robert cursed. "What is this crap?" Nurses rushed in. Patients gawked. A woman whispered, "That's the affair couple from the viral video." Sarah's footage had spread, the neighborhood buzzing. Ethan brought the envelope I'd hidden. Photos, videos, audio, divorce papers. I handed them to Robert and Emily. Bedridden, red-faced. "Sign," I said, voice ice. "You're done." Emily sobbed. "Ethan, I'm sorry." He walked out, silent. Robert pleaded, "Di, let's talk." I cut him off. 30 years ends here. I left, Ethan's hand in mine, his pain mirroring mine. Weeks later, my bakery thrived. Customers praising my strength. "You showed them, Diane," Mr. Lopez said, buying flan. Ethan moved in, helping with deliveries, his smile slowly returning. We rebuilt, just us. Robert and Emily faced fraud charges. She was pregnant, complicating Ethan's divorce, but he stayed strong. I joined a women's group, sharing my story, finding peace. My bakery, my son, my life, mine again. Life Solver's lesson at Life Solver. We share stories that teach resilience. Diane's revenge exposed a cruel betrayal, saving her bakery and her dignity. Infidelity destroys 40% of marriages, and financial schemes often hide behind lies. Diane's $180 receipt and a condom led to justice. What would you do? Share your city and thoughts below. Like, subscribe, and join Life Solver for more stories that inspire. Support us with a super thanks to keep these tales coming. See you next time.